Hey guys, I'm starting a new series. It's called Triple S. It's gonna be about events that happened this past week and with my opinion attached with it, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, it's a pretty big success. Starting off, it's gonna always be with events that I read from my Facebook news feed or events that just happened in general to me in the outside world. Is my first one that I want to share is an article that I read that a lot of people share on my news feed on Facebook. It's called "Saving My First $1,000," and that was interesting because it's I've had my parents put in well over $1,000 in my bank account when I was growing up, and it was never really a problem, and I never really thought about it. But now that a lot of my peers are sharing it, I don't know if it was just my family that always had that, but I've it's just never been that way, and it's opening my eyes because as a nation we're in a lot of debt, and the fact or the stat that I read the other day that's I've heard before is that if you don't have any debt and you have $10 in your pocket, you're in like the 10th percentile of wealth in this country, which just speaks volume of how much our student debt's up, our mortgages are up, our car loans are up. Everything's just putting us in mountains of debt, and it's becoming an issue. But going on to stats that I like to share, a lot of talk about how obviously presidential candidate Donald Trump wants to get rid of the Latinos or all that, or the illegal immigrants and all that stuff. But from the recent Time magazine, I'm going to share from the main article in the magazine of how Latinos are driving America's economic growth at the moment. All right, these are just like some pie charts and all this stuff right inside. I'm reading from these. 17%. The 55 million Hispanics in the United States represent 17% of the nation's population. Well, easy math, anyone can figure that out. But 1.3 trillion in 2015, US Hispanics controlled 1.3 trillion in buying power, equal to the GDP of Mexico, the Dominican Republic, Guatemala, and El Salvador combined. 52%. Hispanics are projected to account for more than half of all new U.S. homeowners between 2010 and 2030. 47% growth. From 2007 to 2012, Latinos launched new small businesses at a rate more than 60 times higher than that of non-Latinos. 1 in 4 new Toyota Corollas sold in the United States are bought by Hispanics. Again, that's obviously there's a whole different topic that I'm not getting into about illegal immigration, but legal immigration of Hispanics and all that stuff are really fueling the economy, and there's no reason to make an issue out of that. So, just an interesting article from Time Magazine. If you subscribe to Time, obviously read it. If you go to Barnes and Noble, flip it open real quick, read that article. Very intriguing. Global headlines, the ones that you guys probably want to hear my real opinion about. Obviously, gotta give a little sports. I'm a big baseball fan. Cubs clinched the division. First time since 2008. Best record in baseball right now. Best record in the National League. Let's hope they can do it. Break the curse. 108 years. Haven't done it yet, but let's hope. Now to one that involves my opinion. Colin Kaepernick. Since he took his initial kneel down or sit during the national anthem in preseason, there have been 67 total deaths due to police, 15 of them African American. I think, in my opinion, what infuriated a lot of the people initially was that he didn't. You don't. I know you don't have to, but in the press conf or his initial preseason game where he just sat there, people just thought, oh my gosh, Colin Kaepernick is lazy, not even staying for the national anthem. But then when they did the presser afterwards and he said, oh, I was protesting, you let, I don't even know, what was it, like 2 days later or whatever, of people spreading this around, not even knowing what it was about, spreading that you were lazy. And then when people initially think that you were lazy, and then you get to a point where you hear about it that, oh, he was protesting. Well, I've had 2 days to think that you're lazy, and now a day later you say, or whatever it was, that were protesting. Well, I've already had a day to think that you're lazy, and now it's ingrained in my brain. But a lot of people who are more understanding, forward thinking, are understanding that he was protesting and jumping behind the cause. But my opinion is I like the idea. If he said he was going to protest before, and yes, I understand it's his legal right, he doesn't have to, but a lot of people didn't jump behind him more than I thought they would, just because he sat there and then said he was protesting, not said I'm protesting and then sat there. You can disagree with me, I'm just sharing what I think. But to see the change, we sometimes have to do things we don't like to see change. So if you want to see change, you got to do things that you normally wouldn't want to see change, like the national anthem. We all like seeing everybody stand there, hands above the heart, but we see change in the internet every day, and that's one thing, but we don't always see change in the things that we've done the same way for hundreds of years. So those are the types of things we gotta change if we want to see the overall change. So, quote I'm gonna leave you on hasn't been going with the flow of this message, but the greatest pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do. Keep that in mind going through this next week. See you guys next week.